Hey everybody, welcome back. Gearhead Daily. Eric, as usual, beard mustache on point. And I've been getting into music a lot lately, and you probably saw a couple videos of me trying to learn how to play the guitar, or a couple of these behind me. And I thought about what I was going to do for effects, because I played a little bit when I was like 15 or 16 years old, and back then the pedals were like $100 a piece, and now they've gone up even more since then. And even used ones, you don't really know which ones work and which ones don't work. And I was kind of really dreading looking and trying to find a decent tone, especially through my speakers. The amp that I've got, it's a great amp, but you sometimes you want to sound like something different, and that's when I started doing a little research, and I came across a lot of modelers, and there were some earlier modelers back in the day that were just not great, and since then the technology's come a really long way. Now I decided to go for the ToneMaster Pro versus some of the other ones, the Line 6 or even the Stomp Helix one. For a lot of reasons, but I'll talk about it. This is going to be a review video of the ToneMaster Pro and not like a how-to video on how to do things. But there's a lot of things on here that I really, really like, and I do have a couple complaints and a couple niggles that do probably need to be worked out at some point. But basically, I was happy to learn that I could replicate a lot of the pedals that I remember from back in the mid-90s when I was learning to play for the first time, and not have to buy all the single pedals. And I'm a very visual person, so I'll get to the Fender visual part in just a second. But there's a lot about the ToneMaster Pro that would really appeal to me, and I don't have a lot of experience with the other ones, so take that with a grain of salt. All I'm doing today is just reviewing what my experience has been with the ToneMaster Pro as somebody who is a newer beginner after 25 years of not playing at all, and really kind of getting a sense of what I like and what I don't like, and kind of getting back into it after many, many years of not playing, and only, kind of rudimentary playing a bit when I was younger. So take it with a grain of salt. I'm only going to review this today. So this really isn't a comparison video to other modelers out there. This is basically my experience as somebody who has been playing for a short period of time. I've had experience of this for about 6 months or so I've had a chance to play with it a little bit and get in there. And as somebody who's newer to the music hobby, this was great for me. But let me give you an overview of what the machine can do, the inputs and the outputs, and then basically give you the main overview. I'll talk about things I like, I'll talk about the things that I don't like, and at the end we'll give it a beard score, because that's what we do around here. So out of 10 beards, we'll give it a score. So come with me. We'll go through it, and if it's right for you, then great. That would be fantastic. If it's not right for you, I completely understand. There are great options out there, so don't take my word for it. Get a chance. I think the big box stores might have a couple of these. I got this one on Reverb for a very good price, kind of early on when a lot of updates and patches hadn't been made. But since then, I can tell you, even in the past 6 months, major updates to the software and adding new things, and that's kind of one of the big selling features for me. So let's go through it. I'll show you kind of the outside first, and then we'll talk about the software that comes with it, because that's kind of the big piece of it. But the hardware is pretty neat. So let's jump into all the things on the exterior. All right, so let me give you a quick overview of just kind of the front panel. This is a touchscreen up top, about 7 inches or so. You've got 2 knobs up here that change based on, can change your presets, and then these are also clickable buttons as well, so you can change how you look at it. I tend to like this view, because then I can kind of see all my inputs and the chain here. Also, you've got your master volume on this side, so this changes how much volume you have for the entire thing. But if you click on it, you will see you've got different meters for each of your outputs, and there are 6 total outputs. And you can mute either all of these two. Again, this is not an explainer video of how this thing works. This is more just an overview of what you got. Lots of outputs. Now, the cool thing is these are buttons. So these are all clickable buttons, right? But these are also knobs as well, which is a blessing and a bit of a curse, because if you're going to use this like it's meant to be used, which is on the floor, it is difficult to reach down, fiddle with the knob, and end up doing it this way. That's why it lives on my desk. Now, they did not have a stand for it, so I made a handy dandy stand with my CNC machine. It's got my logo on it, just like so, and it works just fine sitting on my desk, and then it doesn't take up real estate on the floor because I'm kind of constantly touching it and doing things. Now, they do have an app, and we're going to go over that on the PC up here. But you know, I do like having up here. I like seeing it, and I like being able to touch buttons without having to open the app every single time. So tons of buttons, and you can have this in a bunch of different configurations. You can go by just this one particular setting. In this case, you can set up a scene, so this will turn on multiple things at once, or you can have each button just kind of click on one particular thing. As you see, our reverse delay click on and off using this. Now, these are LEDs, and you can change the colors of these. You can also change the position of these. You can have all sorts of varieties of kind of endless combinations of scenes and different pedals. So it's really up to you kind of how you want to set this up. It's pretty neat. So, I mean, if we go to one with the scene that I'm working on, this is my Master of Puppets preset that I've made with a custom IR that I got from Spectre Media Group. Thank you very much for that. I can click on different scenes from this one right here. This is my country version, you know, my Eric Johnson version, but my Master Puppets, if I go into here, click on this, I've now, within my rhythm, I'm now in my clean settings, and then jump in immediately to a solo settings. And I will say the switching is actually very, very quick. You also have a tuner down here. You just hold this one, and it will immediately move you into the tuning, and you have a variable adjustments. Pretty neat. The other thing is, immediately turn this off, but this will click. So this one also has an LED inside, and you can see it says tap and then BPMs. This one in particular, I turned off because it was just getting annoying more than anything, because I don't know, I found it more obtrusive than actual helpful. So, and the one of the most common things I see is people asking, how do I turn this off? And you have to go into the settings for that. A couple things about the functionality of this is you can jump into each scene by hitting the mode, and this will change the mode, so you can turn on. You can really program this any way you want. If you want to turn on multiple things at a time, or if you just want to turn on one or two things. In this one case, it's just built this way. But for example, my Master Puppets work in progress will turn on multiple things, so you have to go into it, and I'm going to turn on my solo, and then it's going to turn on a bunch of things. But if you turn them to clean, now we're going to change heads, and we're going to change pedals entirely. So lots of different ways to do this, and different views. So you can hit the view button, and it will show you kind of the list view if you like it this way. And then very simply, we just kind of hit the little pencil icon, and then we can see the graphical representation. This one makes more sense to me, but again, there's something called gig view, which looks like this. On the back, you have a number of different settings. You've got 4 different loops. You've got a mic line in and out. This can do 2 things at once. So this can do an instrument and a microphone, which is kind of cool. So this one just happens to be connected to my instrument, and then a line out just to my main speaker. I also hook up my headphones to it so that I can you know, just listen. I don't have to turn on my speaker every time. You also have various outputs and inputs, and then you also have a micro SD switch. I haven't found a use for this particular piece yet, but the USB out here goes to your PC, so that your PC can talk to the ToneMaster Pro in and of itself. Now, down here is this tiny little button. Hard to see, but this is the update button. And I'll talk about updates because that's one of my features of it that I don't really like, is how this is updated. And we'll talk about that when we get into the software portion of things. But there's a lot of different outputs, many different inputs. You've got a toe switch. You've got a couple expression pedals that you can input. Again, I have not found a use for the micro SD switch, but the one thing that I do like about the ToneMaster Pro is it feels like it was built to be expanded. Like there was more coming. They just put out a piece of hardware, and they're just going to keep adding on to it. So that's another main point that I really want to talk about. And that thing is that they are constantly updating this device. And that was the thing that really sold it for me, was when I was looking at the Line X or even the Stomp one. I'll be honest with you, it didn't look like they were keeping things updated. As a matter of fact, I had heard that some of them weren't keeping things updated, but I did notice that on the ToneMaster Pro subreddit and also on the Discord that they were constantly doing updates. But that is a bit of a contention because to update this thing, it is kind of a pain. So that is one of the negatives that I have. Updating it is not super intuitive. I mean, you with today's technology and this thing being able to, you can connect to the internet, and it's got Bluetooth, which is another pain point of mine. It doesn't automatically update, which to me is a bit of a problem. It should be able to connect to the internet and do an automatic update, but this way you have to get a laptop, you have to update your workstation, you have to get a separate PC, update that PC with the correct software, and then update the ToneMaster by sending it a packet of information, which then can take up to 5 or 10 minutes depending on the update. So that part is not great. But what I will say is when they do an update, holy cow, those updates are massive. They come with a ton of new things almost every single time, and the list keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's pretty cool. So that part is pretty neat. You've got the software. You can see it. I've got it in front of me right here. The bottom right where I'm sitting, you're not missing a whole bunch. There's nothing really there. But one of the things that they did fix in a recent patch, which was great, is the kind of wrap around signal chain, which is nice because otherwise it was just a big long line and you had to like scroll over. It was silly. But the nice thing is you can change scenes either from the app itself or from the ToneMaster. Both do the same thing. Now, there's a couple of things that don't work independently or simultaneously. They work independently of each other. And one of those things is the cloud and their version of the cloud. I do love the cloud, but I do have a couple issues with the cloud. So right here is, you can just see as a picture of a cloud, and you can see all the stuff that people have uploaded. I uploaded something pretty basic, it's just like a Boston tone with just a Marshall head. Nothing big, but I just kind of wanted to test it out to see if it would work, and it did. So here are my uploads. I uploaded one, or Kansas, excuse me, not Boston, Kansas. A couple people tested it out and I thought it was okay. That's fine. But you can also see recently, and you can also search, which is kind of neat too. So you can either search by a band, let's just, pick Metallica, and you've got a number of people who have kind of updated their version of what they think Metallica sounds like. And you can even search by song. And this search function is pretty neat. I do like this. This is a great starting point for things. If you're not familiar with how signal chains work, and I certainly wasn't, so when I got this was another part that was kind of above the others. It was easy to find pre-made or kind of fan-made stuff, essentially, at the end of the day. So that part was really, really good. So you can search by song, you can search by band, you can search by individual artist even, because people, upload these things all the time, and they are uploading them with different, configurations and the way they hear it and the way they don't hear it. So anyway, this has been really, really good because for me, I'm just learning to play and I don't really want to mess with the tones a whole lot, and I don't want to have to relearn how to find my tone for me. And, it's just easier to find like a pre-made one that sounds close enough to me and then just kind of move on forward. But that's kind of the part of it. On the left-hand side, we've got, kind of these are the ones that come on the ToneMaster Pro. So these are the pre-made ones that come on here. And you can get rid of these if you want to. But, obviously these are named similarly to either the artist or the song. Summer of Jimmy, obviously Jimi Hendrix. Puppet Master, obviously Master of Puppets version, and I find that these are close, but remember, these were made like 2 years ago, so they're okay. They're not great. But you can come in here and you can delete these if you don't want them. You can overwrite them. These are not set in stone. On the left-hand side, you've got the starred, which are ones that are your favorite, and these are the, tones that kind of work for me. And, we've got like a Wicked Game tone or like a punk setting or like a Metallica setting or even like a Guns N' Roses setting that I have found pretty neat. You've also got the Fender factory presets if you end up overwriting those and you forget them. Cloud, of course. And then you've got song, foot switch. You can kind of change the way the ToneMaster is. So you can kind of see it on the screen. It's mirroring here on the actual ToneMaster itself. I don't use that part a whole lot, but if you're gigging with this would, come in handy if you've got a bunch of songs and you want to kind of get this thing set up the way you like it. Uh, songs in a set list, so I don't have that set up. But then you got the IR manager. This one is actually pretty neat and pretty easy. So all you really have to do is grab a preset and literally click and drag into this folder right here. That's all you got to do. Pretty simple. So I grabbed these two from SMG. They're pretty cool. They sound really good. They're the vintage 30s, 57 and a 440. So awesome that he was able to do that for us. He grabbed those IRs for us. But that part is very, very simple. Now, one of the things that is not super simple is there is a difference between what's happening on my screen and what's happening here, because this doesn't show up on the screen here, but this does. So you can't use the cloud feature on the ToneMaster. You can use the cloud feature only on the app alone. And this is another problem I had. I have never been able to get my phone to work correctly with the ToneMaster. It will connect to it, and I can push music through the device, but I've never been able to get the app itself to work from my phone. Only when I'm hardwired to the actual ToneMaster itself. So that's a negative in my opinion. I have posted a couple times on the subreddit and also on the Discord, and got really no answer. I assume they're doing other things, but building things with this is very simple. And the thing that I like about it, so this is a positive, is that if you want to build something, it's very, very simple. And the cool part is I'm a very visual person. All you got to do is grab yourself an empty, a preset here, add yourself a combo amp, and you've got all these things. And the cool part is they are visual. And this is the part that I liked, because I could see them in my mind. I could, you can see the colors and everything. And granted, Fender does not own every copyright, so they're not able to use the real names for things. But the Fender ones, they can. And they do all day long. But for example, you've got like the British Plexi, which is obviously, a Marshall setup. And then they've got the rights to the EVH stuff, so there's that. But they can't use Orange, so they use Tangerine. You get the idea. They also have bass amps, so this is also using for people use this for basses as well. And then you've got it, amp heads, and you can compare that with all sorts of cabinets and stuff. There's endless possibilities for tones here. It's really cool, and they keep adding to this stuff all the time. So in this case, let's go back just for a second. If I go into the effects, we've got stomp. Look at all the stomp boxes. That's just stomp boxes, and then we'll jump into modulation. How many different choruses do you need? Holy cow! There's delays, reverbs. I use the EQs quite a bit in my builds, and later in this, I'm going to show you how to use AI to build presets quickly and easily, or at least get you a base set for it anyway. That's the cool part. You've also got a ton of metal gates, and then wah pedals, so an automatic wah, or you can also add your own wah too in the back in the inputs. But then you've also got a bunch of filter and pitch ones too. And again, they're adding to this all the time, and that's the part that really sold me, is they're continuing to support this product beyond its initial launch. And I did watch a bunch of videos about people's reviews before I went and did this, before I bought this, and people were saying that it's continuously being updated. So it may not be great today, but it might be great tomorrow. And I saw updated videos 6 months, years, and people were saying it is night and day difference from when it came out. So when I purchased it January-ish of 2025, it had some pretty significant updates. So I love the visual part of this. It makes so much sense to me. You've got, mythic drives, and then you can put these chains in any order, and you can kind of play around with it, and it'll play tones. It'll just, continuously play tones. The one thing that people have asked me a lot, again, this is not a how-to video, so we're not need to go into all of it. But foot switch assignments are very easy. You can click on the plus button, scenes, amp control, on/off, perimeter changes. So let's just say I want to do kind of an on/off. Well, I want to turn this off right here. Turn that on and off. The mythic drive, I can make it, let's just say orange. And when it's inactive, let's make it pink. And then make it latching, and that's it. And that's all we got to do. So if I change the view over here, I'm pushing the button, and it's turning orange and pink on my end. So kind of neat, right? I can do it here. Pretty cool. So again, lots of things that you can do. When it comes to cabinets, you can change the cabinets quite a bit. You can also add speakers. as you know, up to 2 IRs at one point. But yeah, lots of different things that you can do. So this part is fantastic, and this part is better than all the others, because all the other graphical representations that I've seen are little blocks and then, like, you know, 2 letters or some initials or something like that. And it's not a graphical representation of what's happening on screen. And I'm a very visual person, and being a newer player, it made sense for me. So if you're much more experienced, the Line X it might just be better. It just might be better for you, and that's okay. But for me, this has been very good, and I've been able to tweak things. But I will say, things that come out of my headphones versus things that come out of the speaker sound very different, and things that come out of the ToneMaster straight to my computer also sound very different. So you really kind of have to pay attention to what's your output and what's your output going to be. So changing presets or pedals or even scenes happens pretty quickly, and it's a question that comes up a lot, and it's a good question. So, you know, let's say you're at a gig and you have to change, you know, entire sets, or you play totally different genres of music, and, you know, you got to go from Green Day, which is immediately, then you got to jump into, let's say, you know, you got a crowd that's pretty hip and they like Metallica. Who immediately then goes, hey, wait a minute, what about an old good country ditty, you know? Let's go, girls. So very quickly, I'll hold a note, and then I'm going to switch through a couple of these, and let's see how quickly it works, and I can just kind of prove to you how quickly this works. So just... pretty quick. Let's kind of put this into a nutshell a little bit here. So let's jump back into it. Positives. Lots of positives about this tool. I'll start with the negatives because that list's a little bit shorter. But the negatives are pretty short. But there are a couple. So updating this is not super easy. You do need to download some extra software, and it's not super easy. You can't just like push a button on the machine and have it automatically update. That I wish would change in the future. The second thing is, maybe it's a me thing, I'm not sure, but I do have a Google Pixel, so it's not like I have a flip phone or anything, but I've never been able to get the app to work on my phone. So I've been able to send music through it, and I can hear it through the ToneMaster, but I cannot get the ToneMaster Pro app to work, and so I can update things just like I can here on my workstation. Moving between modes, between like getting your favorites list or getting between just your master list, does take some kind of like, you know, a lot of menu tweaking to get in there, and I wish that was a little bit easier. Because I'm often finding myself like touching this and then touching that and getting back and forth. So that part I wish was a little bit easier. That's minor though, because, you know, usually you can just throw things on your favorites list and everything's good to go. The twist knobs I think are a great feature, especially if you have it on your workstation like I do, like sitting here right in front of me. You can twist the knobs and you can move things up and down, and it's great. But it's on the floor. I get the push button switches. That makes a total sense, and the switches feel very positive and very strong. I have no issue as far as them breaking or snapping off. I don't think that's going to happen. But the twist knob, if it's something that's designed to be on the floor, it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. So that's why I have it up here. Save floor space. I have a big enough desk. But yeah, that's a bit of a weird one. You always have to reach down and kind of twist the knobs. So maybe that's a nitpick. Who knows? The other thing is this thing takes probably a minute, solid minute, to start up from when you hit the button to fully ready to go. So if that's a thing for you, if startup is a major issue for you, like you need to get going and playing right away, then this is going to be pretty slow. So those are my negatives. The positives, on the other hand, are far outweigh the negatives in my opinion. So the visualization, that's kind of the big thing for me. I need to be able to see the signal chain. That's a big thing for me. And I can see the things I'm doing. I can see my spots. I can see, okay, this becomes before the amp. This comes after the amp. This comes before the speakers, you know. So we can really kind of tweak things in a very easy and visual way, whereas the other tools that I saw out there did not seem to have that visual representation. Now, if this isn't for everybody, if you're experienced, you've been doing this for 20 years and you know exactly what you're doing, then yeah, this is probably going to not be a selling feature for you. But The fact that it's a touchscreen on this, I don't need the app to build things if I want to. I can just use the ToneMaster itself. That's a great feature. Being able to use it on my workstation while I have my sheet music up and this up at the same time when I'm tweaking things, fantastic. Really, really good. The user interface is honestly the best I've seen. And being able to assign things is pretty simple once you get a chance to play with it a little bit, but I just really scratched the surface of the things it can do today. Because again, this is a review, this is not a how-to video. So overall, the tones sound really good to me. I love the tweaking and being able to jump into things. I mean, you can jump into, let's just jump into the Mesa Boogie, and I can twist the knobs if I wanted to, and I can go in there and I can either grab this and move it up and down, or I can click on it and I can move it up and down here. So there's just a ton of different ways to use this that are just kind of easy and kind of seamless, and you can kind of see just the way things blend together. They've really taken some time and polished this. It feels polished, even though I know they're not done. So they're always adding things. That's another positive thing that's really useful for me, is they're always adding new stuff. And it comes, every couple months or so. It's not every month, but it's probably once every other month where they're adding new pedals, effects, amps, IRs, you name it, and adding IRs even is pretty easy. So overall, this is pretty good. Am I happy with my purchase? Yes. Do I feel like I should have gone with like the Line X or something? Maybe, but honestly, this sounds great. Sounds fine for me for what I'm doing. I'm new to this, admittedly, and I've had a chance to really play with it over the past 6 months, and it's pretty easy. It's easy to download some other person's version of what it is, get me really close, and get going. And that reminds me, we can use AI with this as well. So follow along with me where we can get a baseline using AI. This is actually pretty cool. So this is where AI is going to come in handy, and it's pretty neat. With using Grok, or your other favorite AI generator, you can use a prompt to do this, and I copied and saved one that's going to be pretty useful for you too, and you can use this. So basically what I'm going to do is, using the ToneMaster Pro, how do I create a scene that replicates the Master of Puppets guitar tone? And I'm going to just go ahead, and this will give us a baseline, and it's pretty neat. So it's going to take a second. It'll get going, create Fender ToneMaster Pro. And so, plugged into the Mesa Boogie 2 amp, which is called the Mega in the ToneMaster Pro. Shows us some basic instructions, where to put the gain, where to put the bass, where to put the mids, presence, master volume, the whole 9 yards, cabinets even, effects, all sorts of stuff that's going to do this. And then what it's going to do at the very end, this is my favorite part, is it gives you the signal chain. I love that part right there. And it gives you 3, rhythm, lead, and clean, because you're going to need a Roland 120 chorus head, because that's what they used. And that does sound really, really smooth with the ToneMaster Pro. But my favorite, let's just scroll up, is right here, the signal chain. This tells you in what order to put things, and this gives you a great baseline, because this is exactly what I did with mine. I started with the Mesa Boogie 2, which they call the Mega, into a JC 120 chorus head with a EQ into a British, what they call a Marshall stack, with some distortion. And I had to play with the distortion a little bit. Noise gate first, and then some distortion pedals. I had to figure out which one worked best as far as what sounded like to me. So some chorus for when the clean sounds come in adds a little bit to it. So anyway, this is great tool because the AI understands the ToneMaster Pro and kind of how to build scenes, or at least get you started on the path, so you don't have to go search the Googles and the interwebs for all that sort of thing. So to give this a beard score, let's give this a total beard score at the end of the day. And the beard score is 8 out of 10. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because there are a couple niggles that I have issues with. Updating is probably my biggest one. It's an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect. It sounds really good. To me, it is very user-friendly, and that's great, especially for a new player like me who doesn't want to spend a lot of time fiddling with tone. I just want a tone that sorta is close enough to the music that I'm trying to play. And I just want to keep going. And the fact that it actually is and feels like a professional piece of gear right out of the box, fantastic. So literally, 8 beards out of 10. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend you check one out. If you get a chance to play with it, please do. And don't take my word for it. If you like this sort of thing, please, go out and try one for yourself. And hey, if you found this stuff useful, feel free, give me a like and subscribe. That would be great. If not, I'll see you next time. Have a good one.